other boring way. Ready?
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
Here we go. We're going live.
God.
It says we're live, Emily. It says we are live.
Hey. Hello.
Hello. I think we did it. It says I don't have enough bandwidth, which is probably correct.
Oh.
But who knows? Who knows what YouTube is receiving? Let's have a look. Just keep talking.
Yeah. This is on uncharted territory.
Oh, absolutely. Plus, we're just living in neighbourhoods without the NBN. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at our YouTube and see what it's saying. Okay, it says it's live now. Yeah, I'm getting it.
Okay.
God. It says we're live, Emily. There you go.
We are live. Hey. Hello.
I better put it on mute so we're not just hearing ourselves back from seconds ago. Okay. How you going, everyone? Let's get some live chat going. Let's see how you're traveling on a Saturday night. Are we the only sad mums who don't have anything better to be doing?
My bandwidth, which is probably correct.
Oh, I can hear Can you hear that my video in the background?
Living in neighbourhoods without. Maybe I need to turn this one down. There we go.
Yeah, I'm hearing ourselves. Yeah, hearing ourselves.
There we go. So I turned up my volume down on the YouTube video, but I can still hear you on the Skype, Emily. See, we're just learning as we go along.
Yeah, we are. Saturday night's probably the night I go to bed early. I do bed early. I do cooking. I do cooking. I just
no
don't
way.
have a
It's
life.
like my ultimate relaxation night. In fact, it is the night I normally practice makeup, so it's worked out really well for me. It's like,
Good.
Kids are relaxed. Everyone's relaxed. There's nothing to get up for early. There's nothing to get ready for in the morning. And it's a good time to relax. So I hope that you are the same. Jess says, I'm a sad mum too. Ha ha. Good on you, Jess. Thank you so much for joining us. Karina, yeah, I put my alarm on just in case my notification didn't work. Thank you so much, Karina. Welcome to our live chat.
Cool. That's great.
Hey, Emily, you have to bring me up to speed on our social media because, I'm try not to read social media anymore because it does my head in. But how's our social media going regarding Ivan Milat? Because, last night I uploaded a chat with Amanda Howard, who is Ivan's pen pal, and I was wondering if there was much feedback about that today. Have you noticed?
I can say that when we posted the news that Ivan Milat had gone to hospital, and Newsflash has actually apparently got terminal cancer and not long to live. We got something like 104 comments ranging from you can imagine,
get well soon, Ivan.
Let him rot. That's it. Hope it's really painful. A lot of gifts and stuff. But I'm just looking for some feedback about Amanda because Amanda is quite a polarizing guest. It's interesting. People either absolutely love her or they just go, you know what, this is insane. Amanda really evokes a lot of emotion in people.
Yeah, she knows it.
So how did she? That's the thing. She stands by what she's, what she's into, and I guess that's to be respected. I guess that's to be respected. In my opinion, I don't agree with her stance about Ivan Milat, but
what is her stance really? But her stance is that she writes letters to serial killers and lots of people on death row, and she says that she uses that information, that data, as research, and he's just one of them. And as she said again in the conversation last night, she says she's on the fence. I guess that's controversial as to whether or not he's guilty. As I said to you, people, often say to me, well, where's your proof that he murdered all those people? Oh, he had a fair bit of dead people's gear in his garage. That's a bit of proof, I guess.
proof. I always get creeped out by. One of the bitch victims. I think it might have been Carolyn Clark, and she had the Bennett on top.
I know, right in the photo.
You know,
have you got? Just let me stop you. Have you got the
Shalinda,
volume down on your YouTube channel, Emily? Because people are saying there's a bad echo on your side. I wonder what that could be.
I do have the YouTube. I've got it muted. Yeah, I've got it muted.
I wonder what that is. Oh, you know what? It's probably them hearing you back in my. Keep talking. Keep talking. I'll get some headphones. Keep talking, Emily. Yeah. Enjoy my backdrop.
Oh, thank you. It's very pretty.
It's very
Barbara
pretty.
Cartland-ish.
I know.
Barbara Cartland-ish.
I love it. I actually can't see.
I love it.
I can't see the question. Actually, I can see the question.
Actually, I can
Sorry,
see the
guys,
questions.
I'm very
Sorry,
basic
guys.
with
I'm
this
very,
stuff.
very basic with this stuff.
Oh yeah, bad echo. I wonder if it'll get better.
Bad echo.
Can you hear it now?
It'll get better once. Can you hear it now? The echo. Michelle will come back with earphones. I think.
So anyway.
Speaking
the
of
extra episode with
Amanda,
what did you all think of it?
What did you all think of it? Have you listened to it?
That's probably heaps better.
Maybe I should have earphones. I just can't get up to get them. I don't
I'm sure
know where
I fixed it.
Okay. What's inspired your Barbara Cartland-esque?
Oh, my background last week was really great in my initial setup, but then, of course, nothing worked for me last week. So then I thought it was really shoddy. And then I went to Kmart and they had these curtains for $9. And then when I got home, they just inspired me to keep going and going. And I was just like, oh, it's a Pink story. And yeah, you know, I like it back. I thought I needed a backdrop. I needed a scene, you know.
It's very pretty. I've got a comment from Batusi Knight saying even if it's muted on my speakers, it still may be registering as input to the stream. So if that happens, what I'll do is I'll click off my YouTube and just talk to you, and you can read me out the comments.
Don't do that yet. Has this fixed it, guys? Have my blue headphones fixed it? But that's really flash. That's a very flash comment, Batusi Knights, isn't it? Flash as Michael Jackson. But yes, she's so fascinating, Amanda. The other thing, because, don't forget Amanda has her own podcast, Monsters Who Murder. And look, the fact about it is that she's just encyclopedic about serial killers. Like, my pet hate about some true crime podcasts is that they don't actually know the details about the crimes that they're talking about. I can forgive pretty much anything but that. That's annoying to me. She knows everything about what she's talking about. She's a proper expert. And, I learn a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she is. And I've read, I've read stuff over the years that she's written. Yeah, to me, it's sort of pretty unforgivable if you get major stuff wrong. And that's why I respect her knowledge so much.
Mm.
How's the echo, guys?
Now I'm not getting comments. It's probably just my crappy internet. God, how much does the internet suck in Australia now? Oh, man. We are pushing it pretty hard right now. But I'm in one of those neighbourhoods where, on a weekend night, this is where it gets a bit of a drag. When everyone else starts watching their Netflix, it's like we all get this terrible internet. Everyone in my street, I think. It's like we should all be... It's like in the 80s, we'd all be standing out. Everyone's dad would be on the roof, nudging the antenna. It's a bit like that,
Exactly. I know my kids are on their devices right now. I just said to them, don't come out while I'm live. The dog might make an appearance, but Batusi Knight said it's sounding normal now. So maybe next time I'll put earphones on, but don't worry about that.
We're doing pretty well. We have to say a big thank you to Derek from Castaway Studios in Melbourne, where we normally record the podcast. Derek came to my house today and set us up because I can't follow instructions for this stuff. I just got so far and hit a brick wall and wanted to smash my laptop against a brick wall. So he physically came to my home with his children and did it. So thank you so much, Derek.
And he's coming to my house on Monday night. So thank you, Derek.
It's pretty great
for that.
So yes, big week in Australian true crime between Ivan updates and Carly and Candelise, which is a story we've wanted to cover for such a long time, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I was really hanging out for this book. I've got friends who have a booksellers and they supply books to libraries. So they often will send me messages of the books coming up from the catalogues. And Dean and Donna own it. Hi, Dean and Donna, if you're listening. He always sends me messages. And this came up and I was like, I cannot wait to read
good.
that.
The Lost Girls is the name of the book by Ava Benny Morrison, a wonderful young journalist. Oh, gosh. Just such a good book. Really one of those books that you read it and you think she is doing, I feel like she was doing a great service for the victims. Victims who for 7 years were literally in the wilderness, undiscovered, 1,000 kilometers apart, this young mum and her toddler, so awful. And this young woman helped to share their story, and I thought she did them a great service and their family. So yeah, such a great, and it was interesting because I remember saying to her that, the week before we talked about Snowtown and how horrible it was that so many of those victims were never reported missing. And similarly, Carly and Candelise weren't reported missing, but it was because their family and friends so believed they were alive, but they were really hunting for them everywhere. Like in the book, she talked about, we didn't mention it, I don't think, in the podcast, but one of Carly's girlfriends, the year that Candelise would have turned 6, this woman, the first week that prep started, this woman phoned almost every primary school in Australia to see if Candelise had been enrolled there. That's the sort of, those are the sorts of things that they thought of to try and find Carly and Candelise.
Yeah, I just was thinking, that Daniel Holden is an absolute evil bastard. I just couldn't, it was very hard for me to get past that. But then I think what Ava did really well was, the family side of things and her friends side of things, and that, at first people, mum, but it was so much more than that. She was loved, she was a good mum, she got into a bit of hectic stuff, but a lot of people who were young get into, some tricky things, and it just broke my heart that Candelise and Carly were separated. That Candelise was not with her mum for a while before she was murdered. And
it is horrible. Yeah, I've just popped a placeholder screen up for us so that we can just talk and you can still hear our voices because our bandwidth is just crapping its dacks, but we can keep going because, it is just the saddest story. Karina is saying, the Carly and Candelise podcast is so sad. Steph is asking, is the Amanda we were just talking about the same Amanda who was on Studio 10 talking about spousal suicide? I dare say it would be, absolutely, yes, because Amanda's husband did take his own life a couple of years ago. Yeah, so that is another thing that Amanda talks about very openly and very, fascinatingly. She's an interesting person. Yeah. Did you hear on that podcast, Emily, that Amanda's opening up a death museum? And when I said classic Amanda, I was like, yes. Okay, what's that going to be like? She's like, it's just about all kinds of death. It's about just like different ways to die. And it's going to have like crime scene photos, and it's going to have like corporal punishment. It's really that broad. It's like, you know, like I don't know what I was expecting the answer to be, but it's just like, oh, I've just got lots of material at home about death, so I thought I'd open a museum. Okay.
Actually, we had a comment on Facebook today from Linda, and she said, "Hi, I just listened to the last podcast, and I need, in capital letters, to know where is this death museum happening." So we'll get Amanda to keep us updated. I wonder if it's a bit like the Black Museum in London, because that was the super secret museum of Scotland Yard, and I had a book when I was a kid, which was called The Murders of the Black Museum. Intrigued, but the public couldn't go in. And I was like, wow, I would absolutely love to see that. So when I was living in London with my husband, and as some of you might know, he was a police officer. He was a detective in the City of London Police, and he was seconded for a while to Scotland Yard on his last job before we moved to Australia. And one day he just casually came home and said, "Oh, I went to the Black Museum today." And I was so jealous, because I'd just been so fascinated for so many years about this museum. I had read the book front to back, and he just kind of waltzes in and goes, "Yeah, it was damn, can I?" Yeah. So, but I think they did a public exhibition of it a few years ago, and then I think it's permanently closed now, the public.
Wow. So it was just some people are saying they've lost us now. I might even cut you and I down out of our own bloody camera feeds. It's so annoying. So what was it, just for coppers? Like, was it just for people in the industry?
It was kind of like one of those things where it was a bit like, people in the industry, police officers. There was another similar thing. The City of London Police used to get, there's this kind of, I'm trying to think of the word. It's at the Tower of, you've dropped out.
Yeah, I turned it off so I'll use less bandwidth and we can just keep going.
That's the point. So it's like at the Tower of London, it's called the Turning of the Keys, and it's like this little ceremony that the bee feeders do. And that was always something that if you were in the know or knew someone who could get your tickets or lock it in, that was sort of a big deal. But, yeah, I think it was pretty much just an in-house thing. But this is really a gross thing, but there was a serial killer called Dennis Nielsen. Yeah. And, in fact, this book is one of the best true crime books I have ever read. It's by Brian Masters, and it's called Killing for Company, and it was about Dennis Nielsen. He actually was a police officer for a while and then worked at like a job centre, but he basically would like take home young men and murder them in his apartment, but it was like because he wanted company, and he'd keep them in there for ages. It's fascinating, but he had this massive pot that he had put one of his victims' heads in, but he had also once cooked like a curry in it for the staff at the place he worked. So that pot was actually a museum. Gross.
Wow.
But
that reminds me of a lady who used to work in a brothel. I was a receptionist in, Emily. She cooked us once Singapore noodles, and then we found out later she'd pissed in it.
No,
I swear to God, Emily, that is true. So, I mean, people do crimes. I'm just saying, people do crimes. They do. They cook crimes and bring them to work, Emily. Just in case you've just joined us, by the way, can I tell you that both Emily and I have crappy Wi-Fi in our homes. So this has now turned into a radio program where we are just talking to you because we don't have the bandwidth to show you our makeup, which we both took a lot of care with. But you can still please send us your messages. Yeah. We're getting them. Hi, Aaron. Hi, Batusi Knights. I love it. Thank you, Steph. Katrina. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, it's all happening.
Tolga.
Hi, yes.
I feel like Aaron, do you comment on our Facebook? Because I feel like you're a pretty avid listener. I feel like I've seen your name because I keep an eye on the social, so I get to know the names.
Wonderful, wonderful.
wonderful.
It is like a live podcast, isn't it? Actually, what you were telling us before, Emily, that last man you were talking about, that killer, that reminded me of Jeffrey Dahmer, of course, who, remember, his thing was he was trying to, at one stage, make zombies. Remember? He was drilling holes in young men's skulls. And was trying to make zombies that he could keep alive, but keep them kind of brain dead in his apartment with him, so that they wouldn't leave him.
Right, because he tried to do like what do you call them, lobotomy type things.
Yeah,
is that
definitely.
What it is? Steph's asked, love. Also, when you were in England, Emily, did you look at the Fred West house? Well, interestingly, we did drive. My husband and I can't remember where we were going, but Gloucester. So we'd been on a weekend away. I can't remember where it was. The Forest of Dean or something, but we did. I said to him, "Can we please try and find the Fred West house?" I know it's disturbing, but I've always just been. That story is horrific in every sense, but I do believe the council they bulldozed that house, so they have people going to make a weird pilgrimage to it. But I'm pretty sure it's either it's a park or something, or now I'll have to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure they did that. But Fred West was notorious for doing all these unauthorised extensions all the time to his house, if any read those books. So he just kept adding to it, and obviously concreting, which is where, his daughter, their daughter was found, one at Heather. So
actually, I read that book. Did you read that book? It was only out, I think, last year. Maybe it was over Christmas, and that's why we didn't talk about it. One of their daughters, another of their daughters, wrote a book about it. Well, specifically, remember that? It was more about actually her relationship with her mother, Rosemary, since her mother had been in jail. It was really interesting about their relationship since her mum had been in jail.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I do know, I think that was one of Fred's daughters from I don't know if it was, I don't know. I was thinking it was one of Fred's daughters from another marriage, but it's probably not. But I haven't read it.
It was really good. It was really, what you would expect it to be. It was a woman who was really conflicted, who was well aware that she grew up in a very abusive, violent home, but also her mother's very manipulative, and her mother every now and then could get to her and make her feel like, but I am your mum. And you should come and visit me in jail and stuff. It was really interesting, really good.
Yeah. Well, mothers have such a hold on us today. I mean, but it's sort of widely known now, but a lot of people say that Rose was the real driver of all the depravity and the violence and stuff, and the relationship. And those kids.
Yeah, I think this woman was sort of pointing in that direction. Yeah, she was saying that her mother was a very manipulative person.
I actually have another story related to, it's not exactly about Rose West, but it kind of is. So when I was very young and I first moved to London, I ended up meeting someone. I was living in the East End of London, and through a group I go to because I don't drink, I met some really interesting people, and we went in. So this group goes and talks to people in prisons.
It's Tupperware.
Right? So you go on the prison.
It's Tupperware. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We sell So they talk to people about, addiction and drinking. Anyway, so I went to Holloway Women's Prison with this woman. Jeannie was her name. This is I was 22, literally. Yeah, I went a few times, but it was so fascinating. And I think at that time, Myra Hindley had been moved to prison, but Rose West, I don't think was at that prison either, because I was like, oh my God, am I going to end up seeing Rose West? I was terrified. But what was really interesting as well was that a lot of women are in jail for obviously crimes committed, try and feed their families because they're addicted to drugs or alcohol. But there was actually a woman in there, and I always wonder what happened to her. She actually murdered her husband or a partner, but in a blackout. So she actually has zero recollection.
Wow.
She did. So I thought, it's sort of it's a interesting area of that because, literally when people are off their heads on booze, they do black out, like, things. So all she can say is that she did, but there was a history of domestic violence. So I can't remember what her name was, but I still remember her face. So it was, wow. That was a long time ago.
Out of the Shadows is the name of that book, by the way, Steph. Steph's just asking us what the name of that book was. That was Rosemary West's daughter's book, Out of the Shadows. Yeah, there's that book. There's a fiction book about that scenario that's excellent. And they made a movie out of it with that wonderful girl, wonderful actress. God, see, I'm middle-aged. I'm a middle-aged woman now, and that's how I describe things. There's that book, and they made that movie with that lovely lady in it. And I expect you to know what I'm talking about. I'm so sorry. Emily, that Emily British lady, she's in Mary Poppins.
Oh,
Blunt.
Yeah, Emily.
Boom. Yes.
On a train.
Well done. Yes, it takes another middle-aged lady.
Aaron said, Michelle, what is your favourite podcast or most interesting podcast?
Oh, probably. Oh, what's the one I'm really...
What are you listening to at the moment?
I love The Lady Vanishes, obviously. I mean, it's sort of... Unfortunately, though, it's one of those ones where there's no conclusion, and it's most unfortunate for the young woman in the middle of it, whose mum has disappeared. Yeah, but it's an amazing story. I tell you what I loved. I love that one, Broken Hearts. Did you listen to that about the couple who drove off the cliff with their adopted kids in the car? God.
I was just... You put... That was just unbelievable. Had this whole Instagram perfect life, and that little boy, was it just one? He had that embrace. Well, she was just spending hours gaming, wasn't she, or something, and not feeding them properly.
Devontae, yeah. And then this podcast opened up this whole story about, adoption and interracial adoption, and how common it is actually for adoptive parents of troubled children to end up using food as a punishment, or starvation as a punishment. It was such an interesting, really well made podcast. Yeah.
Really, I thought it was really good. I've been listening to a really good series. It's the Canadian Broadcast Company, so our equivalent of ABC or BBC, and they've got this podcast series called Uncover. Yes. And so the latest series is about the serial killer of gay men in Toronto.
I've started that. Yes.
And then the second series was about that. No, the first series was about that really weird cult.
Yes, I loved that. Yes.
Amazing. So the Canadians are doing pretty good things with their podcasting.
Yes.
I think. So
the other one that I was listening to, actually, that I am listening to, is Root of Evil.
I don't know if I got that one.
If that's what Root of Evil. It's so good. It's this family who thinks that their grandfather was the man who killed the Black Dahlia. And then they go into the story of just how messed up their family is because of him. And it's amazing. Root of Evil. Yeah, get onto it. It's great.
I just find so many podcasts, and oh God, I just feel like I haven't got enough time to listen. I do a bit of listening at work when I'm doing like editing stuff or like writing, I write a lot of speeches, so I'm sort of listening to my podcast while I do that at work.
How do you do that? How do you listen to talking?
But my all-time favourite still is like Criminal, the original great podcast. But I do find I've been listening hard to some RuPaul and Michelle Visage at the moment too, because I love RuPaul's Drag Race. It's just the best.
Yeah, we do love it so much. Oh my God.
Tolga's asking, have you Unravel, and did Rosemary, Steph's asking, did Rosemary West have that Gypsy Rose mother thing, Munchausen by proxy? I don't know, Steph. I think Rosemary was just a real sadist or something, or
remember Rosemary,
like just had a very, very depraved, dysfunctional upbringing.
Rosemary had that really intense sexual depravity. Remember, from very young, she was very, very young when she met Fred. He was already married, and it was Rosemary who instigated a lot of their sexual depravity. I'm going to use the word depravity, but that's probably pretty strong for what was going on initially. It was like swinging and stuff like that, but she was very young, and then the swinging turned into prostitution, where he was watching from the room next door while she had clients in their house, and then it moved on from there, escalated from there. So Rose was pretty out there from a very young age. So who knows what happened to Rose as a child? We don't know, but I don't think she was interested in the kids.
No, I think her dad was sexually abusing her. That's a common thought, and that's how she got attention. That's how she got affirmation.
Yeah, so, she's definitely had something. Yes,
pretty crazy.
Yeah,
You know what book I'm reading at the moment that is really reading it. I think there's a bit of a lapse with our...
I know, you're back. It's probably one of us. One of us has an aeroplane flying over the head. I swear to God.
I was saying I'm reading Blood on the Rosary, and that's a very tough read.
Yes.
You've read that?
Yeah, I have, and I thought it was excellent. We've got a couple of copies to give away, actually, to patrons. That's where, a woman who was from a very Catholic family, she became a nun. Her brother became a priest, and then she found out that her brother was molesting boys. It's amazing. I think it's a great read, and she's a great writer.
Yeah, it's pretty tough going in bits, but I'm pretty gripped. Oh, now Aaron's saying that he is with Tolga and Beck, and they all live near the Natalie Russell, where the track named in Frankston, Frankston serial murder, where Natalie Russell's had something, a little space named after her, haven't they, Aaron? I think.
Yeah.
So it must be down some way.
Yeah, I'm just reading here from a story from 2008. Oh, her beautiful parents. Natalie Russell's parents approached the 25th anniversary of their daughter's tragic death. Carmel and Brian Russell have told 3AW that Natalie's killer must stay inside forever. Fair enough. Paul Denyer, obviously, was the Frankston serial killer. Look, the thing that always comes up when we talk about this case is that Denyer prefers to be called Paula now, and identifies as a woman, and ordinarily I would absolutely respect that wish from anyone, and I know I'm dead naming her when I call her Paul, but in this instance I think it's sort of risky because these crimes are really heinous, and I don't want there to be any confusion about who I'm talking about when I talk about the perpetrator of these murders. So when I talk about the perpetrator, I'm going to say Paul Denyer.
Yeah.
Because that's who murdered these young women.
Yeah, well, Vicky Petratus, who wrote the Frankston serial murders, she when she's referring to the crimes and what happened, the offender at that time was Paul Denyer. When she speaks about anything to do with Denyer in the present day, like say there was an appeal or anything, she will refer to Denyer as Paul.
Oh, look.
So and she explains that to people that, that it's back once for like referring to Paula
but then referring to Paul, like it got a bit confusing.
I don't even know if I'd be that respectful, to be honest. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Caitlyn Jenner as anyone but Caitlyn. Like, I've had that explained to me. I understand that. I've been educated.
Yeah.
I didn't, by all means. I used to refer to Caitlyn. I used to dead name Caitlyn when I was talking about Caitlyn's athletic career before she transitioned, because I thought that was what you did. Do you know what I mean? You talked about a person's history, as the name that they used at the time. But then I was educated, and someone said to me, someone said, no, you must always use the name they have now. And I get that. But in this situation, I feel like, no, you know what? I just want to be really clear about the person who murdered these women. You know, Elizabeth Stevens, Debbie Freem. Debbie Freem had a 12-day-old baby that she left at home when she went out to the shop to get milk. And I just don't want to mess around about the fact that Paul Denyer murdered her. I don't want any confusion about that.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. And I'm the same. Look, I think in the last 3, even 5 to 3 years, I think there's just been so much awareness and change in education about preferred gender pronouns. And it's, I had to catch up myself. I mean, I was making mistakes along the way too. So, we're all just learning.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I don't ever want to hurt anybody. But you know what? I don't really care if I hurt Paul Denyer's feelings.
Yeah, I don't care either. Steph said she lives near where William Tyrrell disappeared. Will we do a potty about that at all? Well, look, I think I'd love to. I mean, that story is a bloody deep mystery.
And people contact us a lot about that, don't they, Emily? I was just saying that last week. People are always saying, A, will you do a podcast about it? Or B, contacting us to say they have information about it. That happens a lot. And it's like, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of rumours about that case, and we all just have to wait.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know that when the inquest was happening, I sort of was looking, there was a particular page on Facebook, and people were saying pretty out there stuff. Like, I mean, I'm talking, you can get bloody done for defamation saying that stuff. And it was, because you've got to remember that, William had a foster family, they have children, there's William's biological family. I mean, it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
So I just like to keep an eye on those things.
I mean, what could we do an episode about? What is there to say? All any of us can say is what's already been said 100 times, that, he was playing. Yeah. His mum went to make a cup of tea. He stopped making noises. And when she went outside, he was gone. And that's really all that anybody knows. A guy came to fix the washing machine earlier. He reckons he doesn't know anything about it. What else is there to say?
Yeah. And I think I haven't checked, but I'm guessing the inquest report will be online. I'm thinking usually they get put online. Talking about inquest documents, I got a bit lost in one on Friday. They are extraordinary documents.
They are. I was just saying to someone recently that often after we have recorded an interview, then I'll go and find the coroner's findings, and wow, I mean the depth, the depth, it's amazing.
Yeah. I guess people, a coroner's inquest can name people of interest. I mean, that's what, in the absence of anyone being charged.
Absolutely. And further than that, they can even say, I think this person's life was taken by this person, or I think this person caused their death, or, like it's, they can be extraordinary documents.
Yeah. So just feel like there's not enough time to do all the reading I want to do.
Yeah.
You do a lot of reading though, Michelle. You're good with your books. You're always way ahead of me with the reading for the podcast.
Well, I do a lot of, I skim a lot, and I skim.
Yeah.
Skim. And,
you read Kindle?
Got the Kindle, so I can read when I travel and I'm not carrying around heavy things, and read a lot at night while my kids are watching crap on YouTube.
God, me too. What is it that they watch? Oh, the whole thing with this James Charles, is it? And my kids were just filling me in on all that. I had no idea.
Oh, me neither until although I must admit my son Louis did get me on to James Charles about a year ago because he said, Mum, you love makeup. You should watch James Charles. Do you follow James Charles? I said, no. But then when he showed him to me, I was like, oh my God, he's heaven. Yes, I should follow him. And so I did watch some of his tutorials regarding contouring and found them very helpful. But then, when I saw it all busting open the other day, and then I realised this boy is only 19 now, like, it's pretty hectic.
He's amazing. Yeah. One of my older daughter's friends, I think, stayed up to get one of the pallets, to buy one of the pallets when they were out. Oh, Aaron said, are you excited about your live show next month? Yes. Also nervous, but I think it's going to be great. It's going to be really interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Katrina is listening to the audiobook of The Lost Girls about the Carly and Candelise case. I didn't know there was an audiobook. What a great one, Katrina. Great idea. Yeah, when I run out of podcasts to listen to, when I'm up to date on everything and I'm sort of a bit over everything, I remember audiobooks. Good one. But I'm looking very forward to the live shows. It's going to be fun.
And Tolga says she'll be overseas. Please do more shows. We are planning on doing that. Yep, we're trying. Yep. Port Macquarie. I've never been to Port Macquarie, Steph. I'd love to come and check it out.
I think we'll get around the country. Where is Port Macquarie again? Where is that again? Is that near Newcastle, Steph? Where is it?
I don't know near where. New South Wales, but it's Googling. Is it the mid coast?
Let's have
mid coast or central coast?
Not Central Coast. I used to live on the Central Coast, not near there. Port Macquarie. Hang on. Oh yeah, it is sort of near the Central Coast, right? Yeah, you're right. Oh, gone.
I've never been. Katrina said she's loving the reason she listens so much. She's a postie, so it feels in her day. Cool. Yes. I love posties. I love
I love their bikes. Tommy Little and I were going to get postie bikes for a while there. Yeah, scooters. Cool. Obviously, not bicycles.
Yeah. I do heaps of online shopping, so.
God, I know. Who's got time to go to a shop? I know. It's impossible.
Yeah, no. Well, Steph said halfway between Sydney and Brisbane.
I see it. Oh.
I see it.
Gosh, near Coffs Harbour. It is in the middle of fucking nowhere, mate. Oh my God, Steph. Yikes. Okay. We'll give you a wave on the way up. Okay. Oh, about 3 hours north of the Central Coast. 3 hours north. Okay, but it looks very beautiful.
It's.
Yes, we got to get around, Emily. We got to get around. We've got to go to Sydney and definitely, and Brisbane. We've got to get to. Yep. I really want to take Vaughan to Boggo Road Jail. For some reason, I just really fancy the idea of taking our Pentridge guard, a former Pentridge guard, to other prisons. I just think that'd be really fun, and I'd love to hear his questions, and I'd love to hear his banter with other former guards from other prisons. I think that'd be really fun.
Like the history, didn't you? We got contacted by the historians at Boggo Road, didn't we? Or something.
Yeah, definitely.
He'd be in its seventh heaven with them.
Yeah, we've been invited definitely to Boggo Road to do tours and stuff. So they're up for it. I'd love to take Vaughan and just just follow him around. That would be the show for me.
You would.
Yeah, what a beautiful man he is. And also I feel like he's got the good questions to ask. I feel like I don't know what I don't know about old prisons like that, It's only following him around Pentridge that I realise how interesting a place it is. It's
Katrina's auntie was in Boggo. Katrina, what? So how long was your auntie in Boggo Road jail for? That's pretty interesting.
It really is. Oh gosh, and what for? Oh, thoughts on votes tonight, Aaron. I'm freaking out, man. What are your thoughts on the votes tonight?
Yeah. Well, I know the place I live in, the seat I live in, has been a pretty safe seat. So the guys got back in again. I don't know. I just feel I've been watching some other seats with interest. I don't know. I just feel really, I don't know. It seems like it's been super dirty, just nasty campaign. I don't know. I'm just not feeling happy.
Isn't it always? It doesn't feel any nastier than usual to me. My mum said the same thing, but I thought, really? It feels like it's always a bit like that lately, isn't it? Always feels a bit crook. But if I could just add to the nastiness, I believe Tony Abbott's lost his seat, which I love. Oh. Sorry. Bit of Schadenfreude.
That's pretty massive story. I mean, Darley Steggles, being like a politician, but she's done some amazing footwork to get there.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it has a lot less to do with Zali and a lot more to do with Tony somehow.
Yeah, that's right. Katrina said her auntie was in on a 6-month drug charge at Boggo Road.
Isn't that just the story of women in prison? So many drug offences. It's so sad. Ay. Oh, that's very sad. I'm supposed to be going and visiting a women's prison soon, actually, in a couple of weeks, I think. I must check on that.
Oh, good. You're doing a book talk.
What I'm doing, to be honest. I can't remember, but I'm really interested to see the difference in, even the architecture and all of that from the men's prisons that I visited last year. I'm really, really interested. Looking forward to it. I so want to meet the women from Sisters Inside. Is that the organisation, Emily?
Deb Kilroy on Twitter.
If anybody knows her, please help us. I think she doesn't like me. I know the world does not revolve around me, but I swear to God, I've been trying. I've been emailing and phoning this organisation for literally years to try and get an interview, and they just never get back to me. And I'm like, oh God, did I say something or something that they don't like? Please help me. Please, I really want to talk to them. Are we obsessed with Narelle Fraser's voice? Yeah, she's got a beautiful voice, hasn't she? Oh, there we go. Maddie Rochford says, have we heard of Deb Kilroy? Maddie, please, we're desperate. We're desperate to make friends with Deb Kilroy. I love her. I'm such a big fan of hers. If you know her, Maddie, please.
Yeah, it would be amazing to talk to her. I follow her on Twitter. She's got a good Twitter feed.
And I was a kid in Queensland when she went to jail. I mean, I was aware of the Kilroy story as it was unfolding. Deb Kilroy was married to a big football player. It was a scandal. A football player for the Brisbane Broncos. And, so I remember that story as it was in the news, and I remember her being in jail, and I remember her coming out of jail and her sort of redemption story and her turning her life around and dedicating herself to the women that she met inside. So, yes, absolutely. I would love to talk about her and talk to her.
Well, when we spoke to Megan Norris about Tracy Wigington, Deb was when Tracy got let out, Deb was there to help her.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Smokin' Joe, Maddie. Smokin' Joe Kilroy. He's her husband. Deb Kilroy's husband, Smokin' Joe Kilroy, the footy player. Beautiful man. I think. I don't know him. I thought he was a beautiful man. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm such a big fan of hers. I wish she would return our messages. It's literally years I've been begging her. Ryan is in the UK. Thank you. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan. We love the show They Walk Among Us. Is that what it's called, Em? They Walk Among Us, the podcast. Yeah, we love that show.
Yeah, there's another really good British one I listen to called Blood Ties, and it's a guy and his daughter, and he's like a really my mind's gone blank, but he's like a really seasoned, crime reporter, and he reviews thriller books, and it's just really good. They cover really interesting cases, and they have a bit of chatter. It's a good one.
Yeah, we're going to have some copies of the book by They Walk Among Us to give away shortly. They just contacted us a couple of days ago and asked if we would like some. We would love some.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
We used to swap ads with them back in the days, as Louis, my son, would say, back in the days. Yeah.
That podcast, it's Jeffrey Wansell and his daughter. I think her name's Molly. And, yeah, they just chatter about all sorts of cases, British cases mainly. It's very interesting. Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Oh, Emily, I'm just loving our late night radio show on Saturday night. I know we don't have the bandwidth to make it the TV chat show that I dreamed it would be, but I love our radio show. How do you feel about it?
I'm really enjoying it because we get to talk about it's like we're chatting together, but I love the input. I've never been massively into YouTube, but I'm really digging this. This is really cool.
And plus our kids are going to think we're so cool, Emily. We are YouTubers.
Oh my God. My older daughter, I must admit, sort of did a bit of like a scrunch up face as if, oh my God, Mum, what the hell? My younger one is very sweet and is very supportive, but the older one's 13 and pretty much just cares about her AirPods and sport and her friends, which I get it. That's,
that's normal.
Yeah.
Now, my kids are very impressed that I'm a YouTuber. They're very excited. Although Louis is texting me right now from his dad's house because his dad won't let him use his MacBook Air, and Louis is pissed off about it. Yeah. So.
Oh my God, that's me. Aaron, you've been amazing tonight. Aaron, Rebecca, and Tolga we're your biggest fans. That's
love
cool,
you guys. Okay, so shall we meet back here next Saturday night at 8:00?
Yes, I will. I think I'm pretty sure I will be available. I do have to get my daughter to. She's got to sweep courts for a basketball team. They have to take turns sweeping.
You guys have such a busy schedule with basketball. I'm really lucky in that my children are very uncoordinated and untalented.
My kids, they just like their basketball. But yes, I will aim for 8:00. I'll get my husband to take her to the party she has to go to as well. This is the thing. My 13-year-old child has a better social life than me.
Full on.
It's crazy.
It's full on, isn't it? We were just talking about that today at a birthday party. Me and this other dad were going, God, suddenly it's just all about them and getting them to their places. And this other mum said, this one kid had 2 basketball games this morning, then a birthday party, then a netball game. I was like, dude.
Yeah. Got footy tomorrow. The girls play footy, so I don't mind that. It's just getting up early, but I actually don't mind going and watching and you see the same parents and you get a nice sausage and or a hamburger at the club. But yeah, I just feel like that's why I love doing the podcast, because I feel like something I really feel passionate about, and it's for me.
Yes.
Whereas every other facet of my life is pretty much about because you've got to have cooking, just life.
Yeah, absolutely. It's work or it's for everybody else. And frankly, everybody else will let you just work for them if we let them, you know what I mean? Like, we actually have to carve out a space for ourselves. No one's ever going to come to us and say, hey, woo, what are you doing for you? Like, no one's ever going to say that to us. So we have to be the people who advocate for ourselves, We have to say, I'm actually carving out this time for myself.
Yeah.
Now listen, hey,
Saturday night, probably me.
Same.
Saturday night. Yes.
Aaron and Rebecca and Tolga would like us to give them a shout out in the next episode. I can't, guys, because we've already put it to bed in the showbiz lingo in that it's already edited. But in the following week, okay? No worries. You'll be in the shout outs. No dramas.
Yeah. No, it's good. We've had a nice little group of people listening to us tonight.
I know, it's so nice.
Good. Little group of listeners.
Any cases you're eager to cover from Ryan from the UK? What about you, Emily?
Oh boy. Oh, what cases am I fascinated with? I'm kind of pretty intrigued by the Rostevsky case, and I wasn't at first, but I'm kind of am now. I don't know. I just have heard a few people say different theories to what they think happened. Now, I can't say this on air, but I'm not going to. But it's just interesting. It's interesting. So, I don't know. That one, I think because it gripped people's attention so much, but I'm always intrigued by Mr. Cruel because I was the same age. We grew up, the girls went missing from the, eastern suburbs where I grew up, and it's just, who is bloody Mr. Cruel? I don't know.
Yeah. And where is he? What happened? I mean, being from England, who was that, Ryan? Google that. Google Mr. Cruel, Ryan. That is one hell of a case. It's awful. But as you'll know, I'm sure, as a true crime reader, we know that these kinds of perpetrators don't tend to just stop of their own accord. So where is this person? Did he die? Is he incarcerated? What happened? Yeah.
I know that one that I was always sort of horrified by was the Soham murders, and Ryan will be familiar with that. That was the two little girls, Holly and Jessica, who were murdered. It was like the summer, and they were murdered by the guy who was like the school caretaker. But when I moved back to the UK, I was getting married to my husband at the time. I just remember it was a really hot summer, and these little girls were missing, and it was just all on the news, and people were like, where are they? And just waiting. And I'll never forget that. It was, a shocker. So I haven't heard many podcasts cover that. I'll have to Google it, see if anyone's done it. I hope they've done it well, though. That's the thing. I hate it when people don't do cases well on podcasts. It really bugs me.
Yeah. Well, and of course, because we're an interview podcast, we try to get, the perfect guest always. Either a journalist or an author who's like really knowledgeable about the case, or a family member or somebody who can speak to it really clearly and really well. So that's always our challenge as well, It's got to be a case that we're interested in and where we can find somebody who can speak to it well. Yeah.
Batusi Knights has said, do you think there's a chance he may be found? I hope so. I'm not sure. If he will be.
Well, we've talked a lot recently, though, Emily, about the cold cases that are being solved recently for a number of reasons, right? Because the technology has improved so much because of the resources that are going into cold cases these days in the major homicide units.
Yes.
So, who knows?
Chance. I mean, the Kylie Mayberry murder was solved. That happened in 1984. Yeah. A lot of people thought that would never, ever be solved. Right. And there was a recent one where the guy got sentenced, a man called James Dobby. Now, he murdered a man. It was called the Lovers Lane murder. No, was it the Lovers Lane? No, the Police Paddock murders. Yes. So it was in sort of on the way to Dandenong, in the police paddocks, sort of between Rowville and Dandenong. And this guy and his girlfriend were in the car, and it was a bit of a known spot for that stuff. And this guy, went up and shot him, and the poor woman was completely traumatized. But he got found out after, I think, a tip off to the police. He'd fled up to Queensland or far north Queensland or something.
Pauline is telling us Case File did it. Which one did Case File do, Pauline? Did they do Mr. Cruel?
I think the the Sower murders.
Not sure.
I think she might.
Also, Tolga is raising, yes, a case that I'm very interested in, the Sarah McDermott story. This is such a fascinating one, and it's actually a Ron Iddles case as well. This is a young woman, just that classic story, who got off a train late at night. I believe hers was the only car left at Cannonock Railway Station car park.
Yeah.
And was never seen or heard of again. And some DNA evidence was found on her, as in blood was found on the driver's door of her car. Is that right, Emily? Like literally on the...
I think so. There was trace of blood that led us to believe she'd been attacked.
Yeah. So her remains were never found.
No, she's never been found. But, I did a library panel a few weeks ago with Vicky Petradis, and Vicky was talking about how she'd actually been contacted in recent times by someone who found Sarah McDermott's purse. He was only a young guy, like a kid, had found her purse but remembers the name on the license, and it had been sort of I don't know if it had been buried or hidden, and he didn't, a kid doesn't think of any real significance with that, and so he threw it away. But Vicky said Denia, the Frankston serial killer's MO, was he hid some of his victims' purses, because when the police did the reenactment, he was walking along and, digging in the ground for where he'd buried stuff. So, some people still think that Denia did it. Denia killed Sarah McDermott.
You know what? I've always felt like Ron Iddles felt like he knows who did it. I've always felt like Ron feels like he knows and is unable to prove it. It's always been my vibe.
Yeah, I think, and I was back then it would have been quite desolate, Cannonock, because bringing it back to basketball again, my elder daughter played at this very nice stadium down that way, and it's actually opposite Cannonock Station. And I parked the car, and I just couldn't stop thinking about Sarah. Like, oh God, synonymous with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ron is on record as saying that he feels as though he did interview the killer, actually, but he was unable to prove it. Well, we'll have to ask him. We're going to see Ron in a couple of weeks. He's one of our guests at the live shows. And, gosh, how frustrating, huh? Because I remember one of the first things years ago when I was first, trying to get Ron as a guest on something that I was doing. I'd never met him, and I was, trying to hunt him down. And I found he'd already retired from homicide, but his phone number was still on this website, this really obscure website I found, that was run by Sarah's family.
Never Alone. Was that the organisation or something like that?
I don't know. I just remember seeing his mobile number, and I remember asking him later if he realised that his number or that a number was still on there. And I said, is that still your number? And he said, oh, yeah, I'll never change my phone number ever, because you just never know. You know what I mean? And that's when I started to realise, what kind of guy he is. Oh, yeah, he'll never really retire. He feels like he still owes it to people until the day he dies to have the same number, because some people will only ever speak to him, and that's what he owes people,
Well, it's like, Steph, thank you again for your kind words, saying this is so fabulous. Listening to it. Aaron, anything on the Lloyd Park cases? I'm thinking, I don't know if I know that.
Google. Let's go.
Lloyd Park. Google. Hello, Google.
You've just turned on everyone's Google Homes, by the way. They're all going, yes.
Yeah. Lloyd Park. I'm not sure, Aaron, what that one is. Not the Lloyd Rainey. No, Corinne Rainey. Actually, that's one. Corinne Rainey. She was the lawyer who got murdered in Western Australia, and her husband went to trial for it.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, that's interesting.
Defamation case against the state. Yeah. Is that the one you mean?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Aaron, that one. Yeah.
There's a whole series.
Tolga, I'm not in Frankston area, but
and Maddie's bringing up the Phoebe Handsjuk case, Phoebe's fall. You know, can I tell you just an interesting extra to that, Maddie? I went and did shot a documentary series at the Coroners Court and the forensics lab in Melbourne, where where Phoebe's what's the word? You know, where everyone who needs to have their autopsy goes in Victoria, where they do the autopsies, right? And it's really interesting because every person who does autopsies there raised Phoebe's case, just in conversation, just as they were talking, because without exception, every one of them raised it when they were talking about how heartbreaking it is for them when they can't give a clear reason of death. So, yeah, that case is really, really troubling for them because I think, and I can't put words in their mouths or whatever, but I feel like they are very aware that it's frustrating obviously for Phoebe's family, but also for the community that, they weren't able to really clarify how Phoebe died, and that there may be even some suggestion that because the other man, Phoebe's boyfriend, was connected to a judicial kind of family, that there may have been some shenanigans involved, and for them that was really upsetting idea. And so it was interesting. I just felt like I constantly had this conversation over and over in various places around the building with these really dedicated, great people, where they'd go, I mean, it's like the Phoebe Handsjuk case, and they'd bring up this case of how devastating it was to not be able to give a family a really clear, answer about how a person had died. So, yeah.
Yeah. Would be really frustrating.
Just heartbreaking for them, because they take their work so seriously, and it is emotional work, no matter how many times they do it, and no matter how scientific they are about it. It's really emotional work.
I don't know how they do it.
I thought they'd be really robotic about it. I genuinely arrived there and thought they'd be that really cavalier and really not. I thought they'd be really disconnected and really disinterested, but they're not. They're really not.
Gosh. Tolga's asking, do I live in the Frankston area? I don't. I'm in the outer east, but I know Frankston fairly well, just from, travelling down there for various things. But yeah. One of his victims. So Paul Denya's victims was at Lloyd Park, Langwarrin. Was that Elizabeth Stevens, Tolga? I don't know. It's fun. Wow. Well, this has been good, Michelle. We've got people go down, then they.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
It's really nice to talk to people, isn't it? It's so wonderful. I love it. Okay.
All the way
I know.
we can.
It's really nice, huh? So let's meet back here. Let's make a plan, and maybe we can't make a TV show, but we can make a radio show, and let's meet back here next Saturday night. Well, we're going to try. Emily's busy. She's got people who've got basketball commitments, but let's try and meet.
30, but we'll discuss that during the week. I'm sure we'll be able to make it work.
Yeah, let's meet back here at 8. I'll be here definitely at 8 o'clock. Cause, yeah.
Yeah, I'll come in.
Absolutely.
And thanks so much to everyone. It's cool to thank you all for listening, and it's just cool to. I feel like I've got so much true crime stuff in my head. It's so cool to be able to talk about it.
So cool. Hey, you know what we have to do as a special treat one time, don't you? We have to bring Tyrrell Fraser. Oh my God. Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
That would be. Love Tyrrell. She's very excited about the live show.
I know. She's so great, and she loves it as much as everybody loves her. So yeah, one day is a very special treat for everybody. We'll bring Tyrrell. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And Charlie Bedina, he said to say hi when I saw him. few weeks ago. Gorgeous. Handsome Charlie.
Handsome Charlie. Handsome. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Awesome. All right, let's do that. Let's get this thing going.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, Emily. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. This is really cool fun.
Michelle, thanks for doing that with Derek this afternoon, getting it all set up.
Cool bananas. Thank you, Aaron. Tuesday nights, Tolga, everybody, thank you so much. We'll see you next week at 8. And in the meantime, don't forget, on Thursday, there'll be a brand new episode. And it's a really special one. And I'm not going to tell you what it is this week, but genuinely very, very special and close to our hearts, okay? Thursday, new episode.
All right. See you, everyone.